An investigation is underway following the leak of highly classified U.S. intelligence on Israel's plan to attack Iran. White House National Security spokesman John Kirby told reporters on a call this morning that President Biden and the administration are, quote, deeply concerned about the leak, and they have no reason to believe additional documents will be leaked. Now, this comes only after about a week ago when another letter, a letter from the U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin and the Secretary of State Antony Blinken, letter was leaked to their Israeli counterparts. Joining me now to discuss this and more is Congressman Scott Perry. He serves on 4 House committees, including the Intelligence Committee and the Foreign Affairs Committee. He represents the 10th Congressional District of Pennsylvania. He is also a combat veteran who retired at the rank of Brigadier General in March of 2019. Congressman Perry, welcome back to Washington Watch.
Well, it's great to be with you, Tony. And there's a lot of things that are interesting about this leak. I got to tell you, as soon as I heard there was a leak, I hate to say it, but in my heart and in my gut, I was like, somebody on the inside of the United States government did this. Now, you should quantify that or qualify that if you're going to think that and say that. But we have an administration, and quite honestly, we have one of the major parties in America, one of 2 major parties, the Democrat Party, that is rife with anti-Semitism. We have an administration that has been working against Prime Minister Netanyahu and the Israeli government. They've been working to overthrow his leadership there and have been playing on both sides of this war. So I was not surprised, quite honestly, when it was validated. Now, we're waiting to get a classified briefing on this. The agencies that have headlined this have, rightly so, not published the information because there is classified information within it. But what is also curious is that while President Biden has commented on this leak regarding his alleged concerns, the person that would be president, that wants to be president for the next 4 years, has been eerily silent on this. And understand the context of this is while she's trying to win Michigan and Wisconsin, who are generally supporters of not the states, but there are populations within those states that are supporters of the Hamas, Hezbollah, Islamic Jihad, and Houthi cause. And so, unfortunately, how does the greatest ally that America has ever had, the only real ally that we have in the region, which is Israel, how do they trust the United States of America when these kind of things occur?
Right. Now, this was intel gathered by the United States on Israel. This didn't come from Israel. We're kind of snooping on Israel and reporting to others what Israel is doing. How many individuals would have access? Any idea how many would have access and whether or not political appointees would have access to this information?
I would think that political appointees would have access, likely contractors. That's people that DOD hires to do some of the intelligence analysis, those kind of folks. And, look, we've got an administration that is pretty loose with security clearance obligations and is loose regarding the fealty, the love of America and America's interests. And unfortunately, like I said, I just wasn't surprised. I wish I could say I was surprised, but I have not been surprised. And I think that there are plenty of individuals within this administration that seek the downfall of Netanyahu and don't hold Israel as a dear ally of the United States of America and wish to see Israel taken down to size and agree with the cause of Hamas and Hezbollah.
Congressman Perry, as I mentioned, you're a combat veteran. You've operated in the field. This is a major breach when we're putting out classified information about military operations of an ally. I would think that Israel, given also the leak that took place last week on a letter and the threats that we've been putting out there, and there was other information that was leaked about there in advance of their movement into Lebanon against Hezbollah a couple of weeks ago. I would be shocked if Israel would trust the United States and share information with them in the future.
Well, you're absolutely right, Tony. I mean, we all watch each other. We all look to see best practices and tactics, techniques, and procedures. That's what governments and militaries around the world do. Israel does it to the United States. We do it to allies as well as foes. Everybody's understanding of that. Here's what we don't understand. Here's what Israel won't be able to countenance: the revealing of that information to their adversary. Because as you know, Tony, as anyone who's watching this can imagine, this equates to lost lives on the ground. As soon as one of the primary elements of success in military operations is the element of surprise.
Right.
And once the enemy has that, your folks are in great peril. And so this is the United States. This is essentially a direct and complete betrayal of Israel's greatest ally. And so Israel is going to have to proceed with caution now with anything that they tell the Biden administration. And why shouldn't they? Their service members' lives are on the line.
Over the weekend, Israeli forces struck Al-Qard al-Hassan, the quasi-banking arm of Hezbollah. Is this more of the fracturing of Hezbollah's control and shaking the people's confidence in Hezbollah?
Well, this is Israel eradicating their number one enemy. Israel has a house, and in that house, there's a room with a terrorist living in it, and that terrorist is Hezbollah. It also is in the form of Islamic Jihad and Hamas. That's what that is, and Israel is very serious about extinguishing this threat so that they can live peacefully. Israel has reached out its hand over and over and over again to be rejected by the terrorist organizations that are proxies of Iran. And I think Israel has simply said, we've had enough. We are done trying to appeal to these people's interests and their good charity. And we must defeat this enemy that kills innocent men, women, children, elderly people. We simply must defeat them. And even if the rest of the world is watching and doesn't agree, the rest of the world doesn't have to live under the threat of conventional warfare and soon likely nuclear warfare.
Right. I mentioned the leaked letter last week. The Biden administration threatened an arms sanction on Israel if more humanitarian aid did not flow into Gaza. That was the leaked letter that was to the counterparts of Anthony Blinken and Lloyd Austin. Now, this despite the fact that Hamas has been repeatedly accused of stealing supplies from UNRWA, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian refugees. Ironically, food rations were found inside the bunker of now deceased Hamas leader Sinwar. I mean, Israel has long said that Hamas is the problem when it comes to the aid issue. Why is this being ignored by the Biden administration?
Because they're on both sides of this war. They wish to appeal. First of all, they're not really in support of the Jewish state. They're certainly not in support of Prime Minister Netanyahu. And this has become political for them. Like I said, one of the major parties in the United States has this corrosive but large-scale and sweeping anti-Semitic component to it, and they want their votes. So they're pandering for their votes. And again, instead of going after the terrorists and demand that they lay down their arms, they're going after Israel, who was attacked in an unprovoked fashion, as always, and demanding that they lay down and that they give more and more and more. And no one should be surprised that the aid has been found in the leaders of Hamas or Hezbollah's homes or bunkers or headquarters. Everybody in the world knows this, and that's why we tried to defund the United Nations Relief and Workers Agency. But literally, the majority of the Democrat Party in the House of Representatives voted against defunding that. So we have American tax dollars funding the enemy of Israel, the terrorist state of Iran through their proxies, Hamas. And you have this Biden administration playing on both sides of the war for political purposes. It is dangerous to civilization. It certainly puts lives in perils, and now of American service members serving alongside missile batteries in Israel.
It's an outright shame.
Yeah.
Congressman Scott Perry, thank you so much for taking time to join us on this Monday. Always great to see you.
Thank you, Tony. God bless you.